A Makita corded track saw kit. So I'd been looking for a track saw for some time, finally landed on the Makita specifically. I'm excited to dive into this, show you what's included in the kit, what specifically led me to choose the Makita, and then the types of projects that a track saw is going to help you accomplish around the house. So let's get into it. Now, within this kit itself, you get this really nice carrying case. I'm a sucker for carrying cases. Within there, you're getting the track saw with the included 6.5-inch blade, and as well, you've got the 55-inch track that gives the track saw its name. Now, these are great for cutting down sheet goods. I was excited to get this track saw to both build some cabinets in my house later, as well as to use this on my stair project. And I'll talk a bit more in a bit about how I'm going to be using this on the stairs. The track saw itself, this saw glides easily right along the track, and this is giving you those super straight cuts up to 2 inches in depth. So you can use this on both 3/4 inch plywood, but as well as even cutting down hardwood with it. But this 55-inch that came with the kit is great for being able to cut a 4x8 sheet of plywood in half. But if you're trying to go lengthwise and rip that full 8 feet of length, you can either combine two 55 inches together, and there's a simple process for tying two of these together in a straight line, or you can get one of those longer tracks that's going to give you that full 8 feet of length. One of the reasons I was excited for the Makita is it's easy to get 6.5-inch circular blades with that standard size arbor. They can be run right in this track saw, no problem. So you don't need specialty blades or anything like that with the Makita. One thing you might be wondering is why I went with the corded version versus cordless. So Makita has two different cordless models, and then there's obviously a number of other cordless models out on the marketplace. Like Milwaukee makes a great saw. Festool has a lot of great corded and cordless saws. The reason I went with the corded one is, one, I am not a member of the Makita battery ecosystem. As well, typically you're going to be using a track saw with dust collection. It's got this port for your dust collector. And so given that I'll already be kind of tied to my dust collector, having another cord running to the track saw wasn't a big concern to me. All right, so on the back of this track, it is sticky so that when you put it on your cutting surface, it doesn't want to slide around. You can also use this section here to add in clamps on each side that hold this to the work surface. But generally, the Makita track is good enough that you're not going to need it. It's going to give you that perfect edge. You're going to cut away part of this edge guard, and that's going to show you exactly where your cut is then every time. Now there's a few features worth covering here. The first is the depth of cut action, which you simply lock in very easily, and then you can quite easily push the saw, plunge the saw down. You can loosen that up on both sides. This goes all the way to 48. If you want to get all the way past 45, you just flip this little switch over here and it lets you do that. One thing that's nice about this saw is there's an anti-tip mechanism. So right there, that locks the saw onto the track, prevents it from tipping over, so you don't got to worry about holding onto it here. These are used to snug up the saw on the track. So if you loosen them, you can see you can get a little bit of a slop on the track there. Just tighten these until you get a nice stable hold on that track, but you still want to be able to slide it back and forth, obviously. One other neat feature here is a scoring cut feature. So if you push this in, that's only going to let you plunge the saw down about a couple millimeters. That's going to make sure you get a nice clean cut on plywood. And then you've got variable speed control depending on what you're cutting.
So here I am cutting through 1.25" red oak, and the track saw tackles this with no problem.
What you can see here is no burning, really nice finish, and then dead on. That's nice.
Now, one of the things a track saw is ideally suited for is ripping down large sheets of plywood so that you can build cabinet boxes, drawer boxes, things of that nature where you need to use plywood at specific sizes. Now, one of the most tedious aspects of this is getting all of your measurements precise, repeatable, and square. And that's one of the things that really slows me down on a project. Now, you can buy things like the TSO parallel guide system, but it's going to set you back a couple $100 at minimum for the knockoff versions of those. But that is a way that you can get really repeatable square cuts every time with a track saw. But for me, I do not have those. So really, anytime that I'm batching out a large number of similar sized items, my go-to is going to be the table saw. And so I still find myself using that quite a bit when I'm working on larger projects, making a lot of drawer boxes all at once. The table saw is really preferable for me over a track saw at this point. Now, this may feel counterintuitive, but one of the things I really like the track saw for is custom cutting specific angles when I needed to on a project. In this instance, I'm using a stair tread gauge to get the exact dimensions that I need my stair treads cut at, and then I'm transferring this onto the treads themselves, and I'm going to use the track saw to help me make that cut perfectly in line with the angle that I've scribed onto the stair tread. Now what I've done here is I've fixed in place the track itself, and now I'm just sliding the stair tread into place. You can see that line that I've marked on the stair tread, and doesn't matter what angle it is, I'm able to push that line right against the track and make sure that I'm going to get a perfectly flush cut on whatever exact angle I needed. I first tried to do this on a miter saw, and one, my 12-inch miter saw is not a sliding miter saw. It couldn't even cut through the full stair tread. But two, it was pretty impossible to get the exact angle I was looking for. So once I set up this contraption with the track and the clamps, it's really easy to just batch out all of the stair treads at the exact angle that I need each stair tread cut at. And it makes it a really smooth, easy process.
One nice thing about a track saw, so there was a little gap here simply because this isn't quite at 90 degrees. So I've been slowly adding some angle to the track saw and test fitting it to get rid of that gap that's there.
So this isn't maybe an application that you would anticipate using a track saw for, but I found it incredibly helpful, and it shows you really how versatile a well-constructed tool like this is, that you can use it on any number of projects, any number of ways when you need to make a precise straight cut.
Hey guys, so I want to give you some closing thoughts on the Makita corded track saw. Overall, love the tool. I oftentimes have to make 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot long straight cuts, and in that it really excels. I could definitely see the value in a 9 foot long track. I don't envy the idea of storing that in my garage, so I probably won't get one. But this is obviously helpful for a certain segment of cuts. But if you have to rip full length sheets of plywood, as an example, a 9 foot long track is really going to come in handy. I do think I may consider getting one of the shorter tracks, just sometimes easier to utilize that shorter track for quick cuts that I need to make. I have found that As I've built out my table saw table, I need to turn to this less so I can process bigger pieces of wood on my table saw now. So just the utility of being able to quick pop the track saw on something is a little bit less than it once was before I had that table saw station built out. Something to keep in mind is the Makita is metric only, so you do have to do some conversions on the fly if you're in an imperial country. My one regret with this tool is going with the corded version. I know I said earlier I'm always going to be hooked up to dust collection, not taking this to job sites, so I went with the corded one because it was a little bit cheaper. But in reality, I find myself oftentimes wanting to do just really quick things out in the driveway. I'm not going to hook up my dust collection, and it's a bit of a pain to go get the extension cord, have to fiddle with this, and be connected in that way. So that's not a huge issue, but it is something to keep in mind. If I could go back in time, I would probably be looking at the Milwaukee cordless model or one of the Makita battery models. But overall, nothing but great things to say about this tool. It functions really well. Highly recommend it, particularly if you don't have a ton of space, you don't have a big table saw that you can process bigger sheets of wood. The track saw is a great way to, in a small form factor, get those straight cuts that are going to help you unlock more projects in your arsenal. So, my name is Alex with Mill City Made. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Really appreciate it. Appreciate a like and subscribe. It's great inspiration for doing these videos. So, thanks again.